Once upon a time, there was a beautiful girl named Cinderella. She lived in a small village. Her life was simple, she was happy. Every morning she would wake up to the sound of birds chirping and the gentle rustling of leaves. The village was surrounded by lush green fields and colorful flowers that seemed to bloom all year round. Cinderella loved to take long walks through the village, greeting her neighbors and helping them with their daily chores. She was known for her kindness and her radiant smile that could brighten anyone's day.
I lived with my father and we loved each other very much. My father was my best friend and my greatest supporter. He always encouraged me to follow my dreams and to be the best version of myself. We had a special bond that was unbreakable. We would spend hours talking about everything under the sun, from the stories he would tell me to the dreams I had for the future. We spent our days laughing and playing together. Our favorite pastime was playing in the garden, where we would chase butterflies and pick fresh fruits. My father had a wonderful sense of humor, and he always knew how to make me laugh, even on the gloomiest of days. Our home was filled with joy and laughter, and I cherished every moment we spent together.
Her father would tell her stories. These stories were magical and filled with adventures of brave knights, beautiful princesses, and mystical creatures. Each night as they sat by the fireplace, her father would weave tales that transported Cinderella to far-off lands and enchanted kingdoms. Cinderella loved to listen to them. She would sit with wide eyes and a dreamy expression, completely captivated by the stories. They sparked her imagination and filled her heart with hope and wonder. She dreamed of one day having her own adventures and finding her own happily ever after.
Then one day, my father told me he had met someone special. He had a twinkle in his eye and a smile on his face as he spoke about her. He told me that she was kind and gentle, and that she made him very happy. I could see how much he cared for her, and I was genuinely happy for him. He was getting married again. I was excited at the prospect of having a new family. I had always wanted siblings, and now I would have 2 stepsisters. I imagined all the fun we would have together, and the new memories we would create as a family. I was happy for him and excited to meet my new stepmother and her 2 daughters. I hoped that we would all get along and that our home would be filled with even more love and laughter. I looked forward to the future with optimism and joy, ready to embrace the changes that were coming our way.
Cinderella's stepmother was not a nice woman. She was known throughout the village for her harsh demeanor and unkind ways. She was cold and cruel, with a heart as hard as stone. Her eyes always seemed to be filled with disdain, especially when she looked at Cinderella. She had 2 daughters who were just like her, equally mean-spirited and unkind. They took after their mother in every way, from their stern expressions to their cruel behavior.
Cinderella, clean the house. Make sure every corner is spotless. We don't want to see a speck of dust anywhere.
And don't forget to cook the meals and wash the clothes. We expect everything to be perfect, or there will be consequences.
The stepmother and stepsisters were jealous of Cinderella. Cinderella was beautiful with a kind heart and a gentle spirit. They were not. Their jealousy only fueled their cruelty. They made Cinderella do all the chores. From dawn till dusk, she was kept busy with endless tasks. Cinderella had to clean the house. She scrubbed the floors until her hands were raw and dusted every piece of furniture until it shone. She had to cook the meals. Every day she prepared elaborate dishes, making sure everything was perfect to avoid the wrath of her stepmother and stepsisters. She had to wash the clothes. She scrubbed each garment by hand, then hung them out to dry. She never complained, even though she was exhausted and her body ached. Despite the harsh treatment, Cinderella remained hopeful. She often dreamed of a better life, one where she was free from the cruelty of her stepfamily. She found solace in the small things, like feeding the animals and talking to the birds. They were her only friends and brought her a sense of peace. The stepmother and stepsisters often laughed at Cinderella's dreams, mocking her for her optimism. But Cinderella held on to her hope, believing that one day her life would change for the better. Every night, Cinderella would look at the night sky and make a wish. She wished for happiness, for freedom, and for a chance to live a life filled with love and kindness. No matter how hard her life was, Cinderella's spirit remained unbroken. She was determined to endure, believing that one day her dreams would come true. Despite her hardships, Cinderella remained kind. She found solace in the company of animals. They were her friends.
The mice would keep me company, the birds would sing to me, the horses would nuzzle me. I loved them all.
Cinderella knew that animals had feelings too. She treated them with love. They were her family. One day, a grand ball was announced in the kingdom. The prince was looking for a bride. Every eligible maiden was invited. Cinderella longed to go.
Stepmother, may I go to the ball?
Ha! You can't go in rags, Cinderella.
Cinderella was heartbroken. She went to her room and cried. She wished she could go to the ball. As Cinderella was crying, her fairy godmother appeared. She was a kind and magical woman who had come to help Cinderella.
Cinderella, bring me a pumpkin. Cinderella, bring me some mice. Cinderella, bring me a few lizards. Cinderella, bring me 6 horses.
With a wave of her wand, she transformed them. The pumpkin became a golden carriage. The mice became horses. The lizards became coachmen.
Oh my goodness, this is amazing!
Cinderella, dressed in a beautiful gown and glass slippers, arrived at the ball. Everyone was mesmerized by her beauty. The prince was immediately smitten with Cinderella.
May I have this dance?
They danced all night, they talked, they laughed.
I've never felt so happy. I wish this night would never end, but I know I have to leave by midnight.
As the clock struck 12, Cinderella rushed out of the palace. In her haste, she lost one of her glass slippers.
I must find her. I vow to find the owner of this glass slipper. I will go door to door if I have to.
Cinderella was back in her old clothes, but she had the memory of the magical night and one glass slipper.
I will never forget this night.
Section 8, a kingdom on a quest, the prince's relentless search. The prince, driven by an unwavering determination, issued a royal proclamation. He gathered his most trusted men and addressed them with a fervent resolve. "We must find the owner of this glass slipper," he declared, his voice echoing through the grand hall. "Search every corner of the kingdom. Leave no stone unturned." The prince's men searched everywhere for the foot that would fit the glass slipper. They ventured into bustling marketplaces, serene meadows, and even the darkest forests. With the glass slipper in hand, they rode tirelessly on horseback, determined to fulfill their prince's command. They went from house to house, trying the slipper on every woman. Each doorstep they approached was met with anticipation and curiosity. Women of all ages eagerly awaited their turn, hoping to be the one destined to wear the delicate slipper.
When they arrived at Cinderella's home, her stepsisters were excited. They had heard the news and were convinced that one of them would be the perfect match. Their hearts raced with excitement as they imagined the possibility of becoming royalty. They both tried to fit their feet into the slipper. Each stepsister took her turn, pushing and squeezing, hoping against hope that the slipper would fit. Their faces contorted with effort as they struggled to make the delicate shoe accommodate their feet.
But the slipper didn't fit either of them. Disappointment washed over their faces as they realized their dreams of grandeur were slipping away. The prince's men too felt the weight of their failure, knowing they had yet to find the true owner of the slipper. The prince's men were about to leave when Cinderella appeared. She had been quietly observing the commotion from the background, her heart filled with a mixture of hope and doubt. Gathering her courage, she stepped forward, holding the other glass slipper in her hand. The prince's men turned to her, their eyes widening in surprise and curiosity. Could this be the moment they had been searching for? Section 9, the perfect fit, Cinderella's moment of truth.
Cinderella asked if she could try the slipper.
The stepsisters laughed at her.
But the prince's men insisted. The slipper fit Cinderella perfectly. She had kept the other slipper and showed it to the prince's men. The prince's men were overjoyed. They took Cinderella to the palace. She was finally going to meet the prince again. Section 10, Happily Ever After, a joyous union and justice served. The prince was thrilled to see Cinderella again. He recognized her instantly. They were married that very day. The wedding was beautiful and everyone was happy for Cinderella. She had finally found her true love.
As for the wicked stepmother and stepsisters, they were banished from the kingdom. They learned that being cruel doesn't pay.
Section 11. Cinderella's enduring legacy, a timeless tale of hope. Cinderella's story is a reminder that kindness and courage will always triumph. It teaches us to never give up on our dreams. Cinderella's story has been told and retold for generations. It continues to inspire people all over the world. Cinderella reminds us that even in the darkest of times there is always hope, and that magic can happen when you least expect it.